This is something you can see everywhere, in sports, in business, in any area of life. There is always going to be the top-notch 5% and then everybody else. Why is that? When you dig deep and you're trying to discover what is really making one person more successful than the rest, there's the 80-20 rule. Okay, the Pareto principle says that 20% of our efforts bring 80% of the results, and 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts. I also see 20/80 in our business, where you see more or less 80% of the agents that are struggling, and then the top 20% are doing well. But if you really look closely at the top 20%, it's not top 20. It looks more like 5%. And if you look even closer than that, it narrows down into the top 2% that are making a lot more than everybody else. And the top 2% in our industry are making 7 figures a year. To make $1 million plus a year on a 1099 is a pretty nice income and a nice lifestyle, but it takes, it takes a lot to reach, and specifically it takes a lot of self-discipline, which is what brings us here. Look, when I'm looking around myself, if I do a coaching event, if I do any training event, if I do a live class or online, you name it, I always find that about 5% of the people are actually disciplined. And then you got 15% of them that think they're disciplined, but they're not. And then you have 80% of the people that know that they're not disciplined. They know why they're not disciplined. And normally it comes from lack of hunger, like the why is not strong enough. And if the why is not strong enough, then obviously nothing else is happening. But if the why is very strong, then you have to become more self-disciplined, because you have to reach higher levels. It's not that you want it, is that you need it. You have to get it. And when you get to a point where, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, when you reach that point in your life, then you can do something. People tell me, Ron, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being broke or being in this situation, or keep promising myself and I never do it. It all comes down to self-discipline. Self-discipline is so important, and it's not easy. It's probably the hardest thing to do as a human being. You got to make yourself disciplined. That's what self-discipline is all about. You're disciplining yourself. First of all, you need to recognize that you need discipline. You need to recognize that you don't have enough. Can you have enough discipline? I don't know. I think that the more discipline I have, the more successful I become. The more I achieve for myself and other people. And I always, not just require myself to be disciplined, but also other people around me. Being disciplined is, and sometimes I'm tired of, being disciplined. So there's always this battle between the part of yourself that wants to just chill and just be and just live life, and then the other part of you that wants to be a lot more successful than you are. And then you have the battle between the two in your mind, which sometimes is only on the inside, no one sees, and then some people can actually see it. So let's just cover what is the foundation of self-discipline. The first one is setting clear goals. Why? Why setting clear goals can help you with self-discipline. And the reason really is that, the first step in building your self-discipline is to set a clear, achievable goal that you can actually achieve. For example, I want to wake up every morning at 4:30 a.m. That's a big goal for most people. And achieving that goal makes you more disciplined. By the way, anyone can wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm talking about waking up and staying up. I'm not talking about waking up and hitting the snooze and then sleep another 3 hours. I'm talking about every morning at 4:30 a.m. you're up. You put your sneakers on, you go outside, you go for walks, in the snow, in the rain, sunshine, in the dark, whatever it takes. That's obviously, you need to be disciplined to do that. So, having goals, clear goals, achievable goals, it will make you more disciplined. When you know what you're working towards, it becomes easier for you to actually stay focused. You can break down some large goals into small ones, more manageable tasks and goals. And, it's not only makes your goals less difficult, but it also actually gives you, a sense of accomplishment when you do achieve these goals. So as you go through the steps to achieving the goals, every single tiny little goal that you're achieving is building you up to be able to then commit to bigger goals. For example, if I am capable to wake up every morning at 5 o'clock or at 4:30 and then go and do my 45 minutes, physical activity, whatever that is, and then come back and meditate and do my 30-minute meditation, do my prayers, and and relax myself and keep this as my morning routine discipline. To me, creating a routine, which is really the second step that I wrote down here. One is setting clear goals. Second is creating a routine. If you create a routine for yourself, establishing a daily routine can actually significantly enhance your self-discipline, because you have this new routine that you got to follow every day. We're talking about a routine that minimizes the number of decisions that you got to make every day. Okay. You have less conversations in your mind because you have a routine you got to follow. It's going to keep you more energetic throughout the day and keep you focused on important tasks. Like, you're not going to deal with drama. You're going to deal with the things that are needed in your business, in your personal life, in order to get, your life more accomplished. You want to try to structure your day so you actually consistently work on your goals instead of, continuously come out of what really matters and go into putting out fires and dealing with drama, and doing all the rest of the stuff. So if you want to be more self-disciplined, very simple. Put on a paper, make a commitment, write it down, tell other people that you made a commitment, and let yourself be held accountable on, setting those clear goals and letting people know what these goals are. Second thing you got to do is you got to build a routine, a daily routine, which means, in simple English, it's a schedule to follow. And the third thing you got to do is you need to eliminate temptations, meaning you need to identify what distractions and temptations can, keep you away from achieving your goals, and find ways to eliminate or minimize them. All right. And now this might mean turning off notification on your phone. It might mean creating a dedicated workspace in your home office, maybe setting specific times for checking emails. Don't check emails, every single moment you're getting one, but say, okay, for example, 4:30 to 5:30, I'm exercising, 5:30 to 6, I'm meditating, 6 o'clock, I take a shower, I get ready for the day, eat my breakfast, 7 a.m., I leave my house, I go to my office. 7:30 to 8 o'clock, I do some role play session with anyone. 8 o'clock, I start prospecting. 11 o'clock, I take a break. I do lead follow-up until 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, I check my emails. So until midday, I'm not even looking at my emails. You got to be very disciplined in order to do that. So if you, put together all these goals ahead in front of you, and then you build a routine, you write the schedule, you make a commitment to follow the schedule, and then you need to eliminate temptations, eliminate all distractions from your schedule. Don't allow any distractions to deviate your mind from what it is you're trying to accomplish. Then the fourth thing you got to do is you need to practice self-control. What does that mean? Self-discipline is like a muscle, okay? You get stronger with use. The more you practice, the better you get. So if you want to become more self-disciplined, you got to start working on it. Start with some small acts of self-control. For example, okay, every morning I get up at, what time is it? 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:25, 5:45, 6 a.m. What time are you getting up? Okay. Then take a walk. Okay, so every morning when I get up, I'm going to walk for, let's say you just started today. I'm not going to tell you go walk for 45 minutes. Hey, start with 15 minutes. Wake up, put your sneakers on, leave the door, go 7.5 minutes in one direction, make a U-turn, go back home. That's 15 minutes right there. So make a small commitment to practice self-control. You said you're going to get up at 5, get up at 5. Get up at 5. Okay, I got up at 5. Great. That's what we're talking about. If you get up at 5, then you're going to be able to also accomplish your walk. You accomplish your walk, you're also going to be able to accomplish your morning routine at work, and so on and so forth. So as you build confidence in your ability to control all your impulses and gradually take, bigger challenges on yourself, bigger goals, bigger goals, bigger goals, and then you're walking towards point A, which is where you are right now. leading you into point B, which is where you want to be. And then the last step here is staying accountable. Being accountable, we spoke last week about being coachable. Being coachable is being accountable. We're talking about accountability, which can greatly enhance self-discipline for anybody. Anyone that I know is more disciplined in a coaching environment than without a coaching environment. So how do you hold yourself accountable? Hire a coach. You don't have a coach, you can't afford a coach, have someone else hold you accountable. For example, share your goals with a friend, or share your goals with your spouse, or a mentor, or someone else that works with you, colleague, and ask them to keep you accountable. Do regular check-ins to keep you motivated, make sure that you're on track. Additionally, what you can also do is consider keeping a journal to track your progress, so you make notes of what it is that you're accomplishing every day. So, these small steps can greatly enhance your ability to be more self-disciplined. And at the end of the day, being more self-disciplined is about persistency. You got to be very persistent with your, with the 5 steps I just mentioned. You got to be more persistent with your decision to become more self-disciplined and stay self-disciplined. There's always going to be days where you fall behind. Always going to be days where you don't feel it, you don't feel like it, you have less energy. By the way, during these days is when you need someone else to hold you accountable. Trust me, the days that you don't feel like doing something are the days that you must do those things, because that's how you break your laziness. 99% of the people that I try to help in my life, 99%, maybe 100%, because I can't think about anyone right now that failed for not being lazy. Laziness always stands in your way to become more successful. Now you can tell me, hey, Ryan, I'm not lazy at all. If you knew me in my personal life, I do this and I do that, and I do a lot of other things that other people don't do, and I made a lot of commitments and I accomplished all my commitments. Great. But at work, in your career, in what you're trying to achieve, you're lazy. That's why you didn't accomplish your goals last year. So I understand you accomplished some goals. That's great. We need to celebrate every single time you are achieving goals, any goals. But in relation to your business, in relation to your career, if you made promises to yourself and then you didn't do it, it's because number one, you're not self-disciplined. Number two, you're lazy. For example, if someone tells me, hey, Ron, I would like to close 30 transactions next year in real estate. I want to get 20 listings and work with 10 buyers. Kind of 75, 25, 70, 30%, 70% listings and all the rest buyer deals. Great. That's a very good goal, but that means you need to get about roughly 25 listings. To get 25 listings, you need to probably prospect every single day for at least 3 hours. We're talking 5 days a week, minimum 6 days a week. If you're doing like 25 contacts a day, 6 days a week. Now, we set the goals, we build the business plan, we have the plan ahead of us, we're waking up at 4:30, we exercise, we're ready, we're role playing, boom, 8 a.m., you need to start prospecting. So you get on the phone at 8 a.m., you start dialing. The first person you contacted was, let's say, at 8:35. So 35 minutes you're dialing and you're not reaching anybody. And then at 8:35, you reach someone very nasty for sale by owner, hung up on you. Great, you call again. Another 5-10 minutes, you're calling people. Now you got yourself an expired listing, answering the call. You had, maybe a nice conversation. Now you're calling a couple of, sphere of influence, best clients. It's 9:25, you're getting hungry, and now all of a sudden you go somewhere and you eat something. Then you come back, you check your emails. Then you go on social media, it's already 11 o'clock. How disciplined are you? What I just mentioned is a typical day for a lot of people who promise themselves, I'm going to prospect and make my 25 contacts. So it's about laziness. We all have the lazy self somewhere inside of us, and the lazy self is causing problems. You have something about you inside of you that is lazy, that wants to rest, that wants to retire, that wants to get to the day. I wish I got there already and I can just enjoy my life and go travel, and go do the things that I always wanted to do. There's always something inside of us that keeps telling us those sentences. That's the lazy self. I call it the lazy self. Look, you can go on vacation, it's not a problem. And sometimes you deserve to be lazy. Go be laid back for 10 days. But you do that when you hit your goals. You don't do that on the way to hitting your goals. If you tell yourself, I need to make $500,000 this year, and by July 1st, you only made 80,000, that means that you're going to make about 160,000 if you continue as you did so far this year, because 6 months have passed. You wanted 500,000. It's July 1st. 6 months have passed already. You only made 80K. How are you going to make 500,000 with the same schedule? It's not going to happen. So these are the moments when I'm telling you, I'm calling you to go to the mirror, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself serious questions. You're not going to make 500,000. Wake up. See it. Acknowledge it. Okay? Change your goal, for crying out loud. Don't stay with 500,000. You're not going to make it. So at that moment, I always call someone and say, okay, we got to be honest. You wanted 500. We put you on a schedule for $500,000 a year. For 6 months, you have not followed the schedule. Every day you're doing less prospecting. Sometimes you hit the goal. Most times you don't. Why don't you hit the goals? And every single time you go back into it, guys, 100% of the people have a lazy self. Everyone has it. The question is, who is in control of your decisions in the moment? Is it you or is it the lazy you? And you need to write down your goals and recognize what it is you got to do. And then you need to create routines. But then if you're not following the routine verbatim, or if you're following the routine, but you're not achieving your goal by following the routine, that means that the routine you're following is not a routine that's going to bring you to point B. It's a routine that's going to bring you to 20% of point B. Then stop, be honest with yourself, look at the schedule, look at the routine that you created, and now look at it and say, okay, I don't think it's enough that I'm calling people for 2 hours a day. I probably need to do 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day if I want to reach my goal this year. Because I have to also not just work on my next 6 months, but I also need to work on the past 6 months of whatever gap I created by not doing enough. So what I'm doing right now here is what needs to be done by you. You need to sit with yourself and recognize you're not as successful as you wish to become, because there is a piece of you, a part of you, something inside of yourself that, or you don't want the success that you said you want as badly as you said you want it. So you were not honest when we created your business plan according to your goals. Maybe your point B is like a la la land. You want to go there because everyone else is there, or you wish to be there, but it's not really you, but you're not really connected. That's what I'm saying. Finding what it is that you want to reach at point B, writing down the goals. These need to be your goals. They cannot be someone else's goals. They need to be your goals. For example, let's say that you have another $375,000 debt on your house as a mortgage. By the way, let's call mortgage debt. Stop calling it mortgage, because people feel comfortable that having a mortgage. You shouldn't. You shouldn't feel comfortable having a mortgage. You should pay off your mortgage, own your home. Let it be yours instead of the bank. So if you bought a house for $500,000 5 years ago, and now you owe $375,000 on the house, your goal should be paying off your mortgage within the next, say, 3 years. How can you do that? Well, if you divide 375 by 3, it's $125,000 a year. Okay, if your cost of living is $125,000 a year, okay, and then you need to pay 125, you're at 250 before you pay the taxes. So you probably need to make around 350. If you make 350 for the next 3 years, you could pay off your mortgage. Now you're on what we call a realistic schedule, a realistic goal. So point B, paying off my mortgage in 3 years, becomes a reality on paper, theoretically. But if you want that to become a reality for you, you need to put a routine, a daily schedule that would match what it is you're trying to accomplish. Now, if you're spending 10 hours on the phone to book one listing appointment, now you can calculate how many hours you need to spend on the phone to get your 25 or 30 or 50 listings that you need to achieve your goal. And then we'll build a business plan accordingly. And then after you have your business plan that is based on your level of success in your business. For example, if I'm getting 1 out of 10 and you're getting 1 out of 50, my ratio is 1 out of 10, your ratio is 1 out of 50, or vice versa. You got to find out your ratio. How many phone calls do you need to make before you get a listing appointment? How many appointments do you need to actually book before you get a listing? How many listing presentations you got to do before you get a listing? What is it, 1 out of 3? Great, 1 out of 3. So 1 out of 3 listing appointments, you get a listing. Okay? Now, say in this market, every listing you get, you sell it. Great, 1-to-1 ratio, it's fantastic. But it takes you 3 listing appointments to get one. And it takes you about 100 phone calls to get a listing appointment. So it takes you about 300 phone calls to get your 3 listing appointments. Now you got to go and create 300 phone calls, 300 contacts. Now we might have a problem here. And that's where I meet, the majority of agents, real estate agents, and investors that I work with. When we reach this level, that's where we have a disconnect. I want these goals, but then, when I write my business plan, I'm writing that I need to make 50 contacts a day. But then when it comes time to make 50 contacts a day, I'm not doing it. And that's the disconnect. Why is there a disconnect? Because you're not disciplined enough, because you don't want your goals bad enough, because your why is not strong enough. Whatever you wrote down that you want is not really what you want. Yeah, I'd like to have it, but I'm not willing to do what it takes. So you got to come to realize that if you're not going to be okay with taking the right amount of actions in order to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself, then you're lying to yourself. And now you need to ask yourself, why am I lying to myself? Like, what's in it for me sitting here saying I want something, but then here's what I need to do to get it? No, I don't feel comfortable calling people. I don't feel comfortable calling for sale by owners. I don't feel comfortable door knocking. I don't feel comfortable calling my past clients and center of influence. I don't feel so good when people hang up on me. It doesn't feel so good to be on the phone. I don't like this. I don't like, and on and on and on and on, all these stories that we tell ourselves. And the only reason we say these things to ourselves is because we're lazy. There's no other reason. For someone that wants to pay their mortgage in 3 years, but you don't need to pay a mortgage in 30 years. Why do you need to wait 30 years to pay $375,000 mortgage when you can do it in 3 years? There's no reason. Now, maybe you don't have the skills yet, right? Maybe you don't have enough leads. Maybe you don't know how to generate leads. These are other problems that we can talk about. But the most important thing is this. Point A is where you are right now. Point B is where you want to go. Why aren't you at point B already? How long has it been that you've been telling yourself that you want to go to point B? Has it been a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How long has it been? Aren't you sick and tired of being tired? So these are the kind of questions that you got to ask yourself, and recognize that the only reason that you're sitting there in this dialogue is because you don't have enough self-discipline. You're not capable to discipline yourself to do things that you don't like, or to do things that don't feel so great, in order for you to gain something that you really want that is very, great. You got to face the music. The reason that you're not doing what needs to be done is because you're lazy. And you can argue with me that you're not lazy because in your personal life and on and on and on. But when it comes to your goals in your business, and when it comes to you achieving your goals, and every single time that you get, you look at your quarter goals, you're always behind. Every 6 months you're behind. So your monthly you're behind, your weekly you're behind, your daily goals you're behind. Obviously you're behind, meaning you're not going to achieve. So you can see that everything I'm talking about right now is all connected to self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to discipline yourself. The ability to discipline yourself is the ability to make yourself do the things that even if you don't like them, you still do them because they are a requirement to go to point B. You do it because you have to do it, not because you like to do it. We had a question 2 weeks ago. Do you like what you do? Do you love what you do? Do you do what you love? We spoke about it, and the majority of people on the call said they don't love real estate. They love what they can gain by doing real estate. Great. That's, by the way, no problem. You don't have to love everything about what you're doing. And you don't have to love something in order to do it. I'm sure you don't love taking down the garbage. I'm sure you don't love cleaning your kitchen or your bathroom, but it still needs to be done, right? So you're still going to do it. Why is it that you're still not doing the things that you said that you know that you need to do to accomplish your goals? If you really look at it and you're willing to look in the mirror, you would recognize very quickly it's because you're lazy. That's it. You're lazy about those things. And you only want to do what you love doing. That's coming in from someone who doesn't have self-discipline. Self-discipline is about making yourself do the things that you got to do, even if you don't like doing them. That's really what it's all about. All right, open microphone. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about self-discipline. And let me know if you believe, if you feel, if you recognize, if you catch yourself having this problem. You know you need to be more self-disciplined, but you're not. And tell me why you're not and what do you believe is really standing in your way. Open mic.